The anomaly appeared at 3:47 hours on a Tuesday, a blip on the quantum resonance detector aboard the ESV Nightshade, humanity's most advanced stealth research vessel, currently stationed in Saturn's outer rings. Commander Sarah Walsh stared at the readings, her coffee forgotten in her hand as the unusual radiation patterns flickered across her screen. Dr. Chen should see this, she murmured, transmitting the data to the xenobiology lab with the highest encryption protocols. Dr. Elena Chen had been asleep when the alert came through. Within minutes, she stood before her holographic display, dark eyes narrowed as she manipulated the three-dimensional representation of the particles. They pulsed with an energy signature unlike anything in Earth's database. "It's not natural," she whispered to the empty lab. "This is engineered." By dawn, the Nightshade's entire science team had assembled. The particles exhibited properties that defied Earth's understanding of physics, changing their quantum state when observed, almost as if they knew they were being watched. "It's biological," Elena announced finally, after 3 days of continuous analysis. "And it's not from our solar system." The evidence was microscopic, but undeniable. Non-terrestrial biological matter, with a complex molecular structure carrying encoded information. First contact hadn't come with massive ships or radio signals. It had arrived as a silent biological probe, so subtle that only humanity's most sensitive instruments could detect it. Within hours, the International Space Coalition convened an emergency classified session. Representatives from Earth's 12 United Nations gathered virtually, their faces grim as they reviewed Elena's findings. "If we announce this, there will be panic," said Director Haruki Yamamoto of the Asian Alliance. "Religious upheaval, market collapse, social destabilization. The public has a right to know," countered European Union Chancellor Larsen. "This changes everything about our place in the universe." Dr. Chen, invited to present her analysis, listened to the debate with growing unease. There was something predatory about the particles. They seemed designed to gather information while remaining undetected, like a hunter studying its prey. "There's something else you should know," she interrupted, silencing the room. "These particles aren't just collecting data. They're transmitting it. Somewhere, something is listening." The coalition voted unanimously, classified indefinitely. First contact would not be announced with fanfare, but studied in secret by humanity's brightest minds. Project Whisper was established with Dr. Chen as lead researcher, headquartered in a subterranean facility beneath the Mariana Trench. Over the next 18 months, Elena's team discovered that the particles contained embedded navigational data, a map of transit routes through nearby star systems. More disturbing were the encoded classifications of planets, harvested, monitored, scheduled, and most chilling of all, consumed. Earth was labeled Monitoring in Progress. On the eve of Whisper's second year, Elena presented her final analysis to the coalition. "We are being hunted. These particles are scouts, gathering intelligence for something larger. And based on the data patterns, they'd been watching us for centuries." Director Yamamoto leaned forward. "What do you recommend, Doctor?" Elena took a deep breath. Silence. Absolute silence. No broadcasts announcing our discoveries, no public statements about alien life. We develop our defenses in complete secrecy while appearing primitive and unaware. "You want us to play dead?" Chancellor Larsen asked incredulously. "No," Elena replied, her eyes gleaming with determination. "I want us to become the predator they never see coming." And so humanity made its first galactic decision: to hide, to watch, and to prepare, without a whisper. 5 years after the discovery of the alien particles, humanity had transformed itself. On the surface, Earth appeared unchanged. Cities grew, nations squabbled, and broadcasts filled with trivial entertainment continued to leak into space. But beneath this carefully maintained facade, a silent revolution had occurred. Deep within Whisper Base, Dr. Elena Chen stood before the Coalition Council, her face illuminated by the holographic display, showing an enormous object decelerating at the edge of the solar system. It entered our detection grid at 2:12 hours, she reported calmly, though her heart raced. Mass approximately 3 million metric tons, artificial construction, powered by what appears to be controlled fusion. It's a ship. The room fell silent. Theory had become reality. They're following standard approach vectors for a resource assessment, explained Admiral Kwan, head of Earth's newly formed silent fleet. Based on the technology we've derived from the particles, we've adapted our satellites to remain undetectable to their scanning methods. The vessel belonged to the HFY, an advanced spacefaring race that considered themselves the apex predators of this spiral arm. As they methodically surveyed the solar system, Earth watched, learned, and remained silent. The coalition had established observation posts disguised as debris throughout the system, each equipped with sensors developed from the alien technology. Through intercepted communications, humanity gained access to the Galactic Codex, the collected knowledge of 17 spacefaring civilizations. The truth it revealed was uncomfortable. The galaxy operated on predation. Advanced species routinely harvested resources, technology, and even biological materials from less advanced ones. The right to exist unharmed was earned through technological superiority alone. The Galactic Council ranks civilizations by technological development. Alina explained, scrolling through the translated classifications. Category 1. Universal Shapers, species capable of stellar engineering. Category 2. Voidwalkers, masters of faster-than-light travel. Category 3. System Binders, those with full exploitation of their home systems. She paused, letting the Council absorb this. Earth is classified as Category 5. Pre-spacefaring. We're considered legally harvestable under their conventions. Director Yamamoto leaned forward. And the HFY. Category 2. Alina replied. Not the highest, but among the dominant predators. For 3 months, the HFY vessel systematically cataloged Earth's resources. Their scans showed what Alina's team wanted them to see: primitive satellites, rudimentary space stations, and absolutely no awareness of being observed. The ship eventually departed, leaving behind microscopic monitoring devices, which Earth immediately identified and began feeding false data. They've marked us for future harvesting, Admiral Kwan announced in the final briefing. Estimated timeline: 70 Earth years, when our technology might become threatening but remain significantly inferior to theirs. Alina stepped forward, eyes bright with determination. Which gives us exactly what we need most: time. The Council unanimously approved the Whisper Protocol. Earth would continue its charade of normal development, while secretly accelerating technological adaptation of the alien knowledge they'd acquired. Humanity would build ships that mimicked natural phenomena, communication systems that hid in cosmic background radiation, and weapons that left no energy signatures. The galaxy believes we're prey, Alina told her team as they began implementing the protocol. But every predator makes one critical mistake. They never consider that what they're hunting might be hunting them too. Earth had found its place in the galactic hierarchy. Now it would silently change the rules of the game. Predators announce themselves. Prey hide. But the apex predator, it becomes the environment itself. Dr. Alina Chen's words echoed through the cavernous underground facility as she addressed the newly formed Sinological Defense Program. 10 years had passed since first contact, and Alina, now Director Chen, had transformed from researcher to visionary leader. Her once academic demeanor had hardened into something more calculated, more patient. Project Whisper had evolved into humanity's most critical initiative, operating from 12 hidden bases across Earth and 3 concealed stations in the asteroid belt. The Coalition had poured resources into the program while maintaining an elaborate fiction for HFY monitoring devices. A world of petty conflicts, reality entertainment, and seemingly slow technological progress. The Whisper Protocol has 3 phases, Alina explained, gesturing to the holographic display showing Earth's solar system. First, we observe. Second, we adapt. Third, we become invisible, not by hiding, but by blending. The room was filled with Earth's most brilliant minds, engineers, physicists, biologists, and tacticians from every nation. They had left behind their identities, families, and previous lives to work on humanity's secret defense. We've successfully reverse-engineered Vrenthai scanning technology, Admiral Kwan reported. Our ships now register as natural phenomena. Asteroids, cometary fragments, even radiation anomalies. The prototype vessel displayed on the screen resembled a metallic seed pod, its surface covered with materials that absorbed rather than reflected scans. Inside, revolutionary propulsion systems operated at energy levels so low they were indistinguishable from background radiation. Communications? Elena asked. Dr. Patil, head of quantum communications, stepped forward. We've embedded our signals within cosmic background radiation. To anyone listening, our transmissions sound like random quantum fluctuations. We call it quantum whispering. Earth had established a network of stealth observation posts throughout the solar system, each disguised as natural debris. These silent sentinels had detected 3 more alien vessels entering and leaving the system over the past 5 years, not just Vrenthai, but other species as well. Most disturbing were the intercepted communications describing multiple harvesting operations against developing civilizations. The Vrenthai and their allies, the mechanoid Corva, had stripped entire worlds of resources, leaving indigenous populations as servants or worse. They see the galaxy as a hunting ground, Elena told the Coalition Council during their quarterly briefing, and they've been at it for millennia. But they've never encountered a species like us, one that discovered them before they revealed themselves. Earth's strategy was unprecedented, appear weak while growing strong. While publicly launching primitive rockets with great fanfare, humanity secretly constructed a fleet of vessels designed for stealth and ambush. While broadcasting increasingly vapid entertainment into space, Earth's best minds crafted weapons that left no energy signatures. The perfect ambush predator doesn't look dangerous, Elena reminded her team as they prepared to launch the first true test of their technology. It looks like part of the scenery until the moment it strikes. A small stealth vessel, dubbed Phantom Asterisk, prepared for humanity's first venture beyond the orbit of Pluto. Its mission: to place observation buoys at the system's edge and intercept any incoming alien ships before they detected Earth's true progress. As Elena watched the launch countdown, she thought of the ancient human hunters who would cover themselves in mud and leaves, becoming part of the forest itself to stalk prey far larger than themselves. Humanity was learning to hunt among the stars, without a whisper. The alert came at 3:16 hours. Something was drifting into Earth's orbit, tumbling end over end. Its trajectory appeared random, but the quantum fluctuations emanating from the object told a different story to Whisper Command's enhanced sensors. Vrenthai scout ship, Admiral Kwan confirmed, studying the holographic projection. Damage: minimal life support functioning. No distress signals detected. Director Elena Chen's eyes narrowed as she analyzed the data. They're conserving power. Interesting that they haven't called for help. For 12 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. First contact with a damaged alien vessel. The protocols were clear. Standard procedure for the Vrenthai would be to self-destruct rather than allow lesser species to access their technology. The fact that they hadn't suggested either severe damage to their communications or a deliberate choice. Intercept Team Alpha, prepare for deployment, Elena ordered. Full stealth protocols. Within 30 minutes, Earth's first contact team, disguised as a routine satellite maintenance mission, approached the tumbling vessel. Their ship, the Peregrine Asterisk, was officially a standard orbital platform tender. Unofficially, it contained technology reverse-engineered from a decade of studying alien particles and signals. Commander Maya Rodriguez led the boarding team, her biomimetic stealth suit rendering her nearly invisible to Vrenthai sensors. The alien vessel's hull was breached in multiple places, likely from a micrometeorite storm or possibly weapons fire. 2 life signs, she reported through the quantum whisper channel, both in suspended animation chambers. The 6-person team moved like ghosts through the alien ship. Years of training in simulated environments based on intercepted Vrenthai schematics had prepared them for this moment. They located the ship's data core and began the delicate process of copying its contents without triggering security protocols. What they discovered sent shockwaves through Whisper Command. The Vrenthai had been monitoring Earth not for decades, but for centuries. Detailed analyses of human biology, social structures, and technological development filled their databanks. Humanity had been classified as potential servants, biologically compatible for labor in high-gravity mining operations. More disturbing still were the records of other harvested civilizations, species extinguished or enslaved when they reached a technological threshold that might challenge Vrenthai dominance. "Sir," Commander Rodriguez's voice came through with barely contained excitement. "We've located their navigation system, weapons array, and FTL drive schematics, all intact." Elena exchanged glances with Admiral Kwan. This was beyond their most optimistic projections. "Copy everything," she ordered, "then withdraw without a trace." 16 hours later, as the alien vessel continued its tumble through Earth's orbit, a Vrenthai recovery ship arrived. Their scans showed exactly what they expected. A damaged scout with systems failing but core technology secure. The 2 crew members were retrieved, the ship salvaged, and a report filed noting that the primitive human satellites had maintained their usual orbits, completely unaware of the advanced vessel in their midst. The report made no mention of the microscopic Earth-made nanoprobes now attached to their hull, transmitting their every movement back to Whisper Command. In the depths of the Mariana Trench facility, Elena watched as humanity's brightest minds began the painstaking process of reverse engineering the stolen technological specifications. FTL drives, weapons systems, translation matrices, and most valuable of all, the complete Vrenthai star charts. "How long until we can build our own?" she asked the chief engineer. 5 years for a prototype, maybe less. Elena nodded. Earth is ready for its first step beyond the solar system, and the Vrenthai will never see us coming. The first hunt had been successful. Humanity had drawn blood without the prey even knowing it had been wounded. 4 years and 8 months after the Vrenthai scout ship incident, Earth launched its first true interstellar vessel. To the world at large, the day passed without note, just another Tuesday in 2107. To the small group gathered in Whisper Command's operations center, it was perhaps the most significant moment in human history. The Nightfall resembled no human conception of a spaceship. Its hull was composed of layered metamaterials that absorbed rather than reflected light and energy, shaped like a jagged asteroid fragment. Its propulsion system left no conventional exhaust trail, using gravitational manipulation technology adapted from Vrenthai designs, but refined to operate at energy levels so low they registered as background radiation. "Departure in 5 minutes," announced Captain Kira Okafor, the vessel's commander and former Special Forces operative. "All systems nominal." Director Elena Chen watched the countdown with Admiral Kwan at her side. Neither spoke. Words seemed inadequate for the moment. Humanity's first FTL-capable ship was about to depart the solar system, and not a single broadcast, celebration, or announcement would mark its passage. The Nightfall slipped out of Earth's gravity well like a shadow at dusk, its presence masked by a carefully orchestrated solar flare. By the time it reached the heliopause, the boundary where the solar wind meets interstellar space, it was moving at 20% light speed. Then, with a barely perceptible distortion of space around it, the ship disappeared into the fold between dimensions that the Vrenthai called void space. Over the next 18 months, Earth launched 7 more vessels, each disguised as a natural phenomenon. Comet nucleus, an interstellar dust cloud, even a small gravitational anomaly. Together they'd formed the Whisper Fleet, humanity's silent vanguard among the stars. The fleet's primary mission was reconnaissance and outpost establishment. They placed automated listening posts throughout neighboring systems, built hidden supply caches, and most importantly, observed the Vrenthai and other advanced species in their natural environment. What they witnessed confirmed humanity's worst fears and justified their caution. In the Proxima Centauri system, Whisper Fleet observers documented a Vrenthai harvesting operation of a developing civilization on the system's fourth planet. The native species, six-limbed beings with promising neural architecture, had just developed radio technology and were broadcasting their first tentative messages into space. The Vrenthai response was methodical and merciless. Resource extraction vessels stripped 3 continents of rare minerals. Bioharvesting ships collected thousands of specimens for study and experimentation. The natives' primitive defense attempts were met with targeted orbital strikes that decimated their population centers. Captain Okafer's report to Whisper Command was terse but emotion-laden. They're not just predators. They're strip miners of entire civilizations. Alina's response, after consultation with the Coalition Council, was equally brief. Implement Protocol Shepard. 3 months later, when the Vrenthai returned to complete their harvest, something unexpected occurred. The native species had somehow developed energy deflection technology that rendered Vrenthai weapons significantly less effective. Their extraction vessels encountered unexplained equipment failures. Navigation systems mysteriously malfunctioned in key moments. No human ships were detected. No Earth technologies were identified. But scattered throughout the native settlements were small, unmarked devices of clearly non-indigenous origin, providing the beleaguered species with capabilities just sufficient to repel their attackers. The Vrenthai expedition withdrew in confusion, filing reports of unprecedented resistance from a supposedly primitive species. In the Galactic Council, questions were raised about possible interference from unknown actors. A new term entered the Vrenthai lexicon: ghost civilization, a theoretical advanced culture operating beyond detection thresholds. Most dismissed it as paranoia. Humanity had taken its first step beyond observation into intervention, without leaving fingerprints. A decade after the Proxima Centauri intervention, humanity's silent expansion had reached a scale that would have seemed impossible to the original Whisper program architects. 17 star systems now harbored human outposts, each hidden beneath the technological threshold of Vrenthai detection. Earth operated a vast, invisible network of observation posts, supply caches, and forward bases, all without a single confirmed sighting by the galactic community. Director Alina Chen, her hair now streaked with gray, stood before the Coalition Council in the expanded chamber beneath the Mariana Trench. The holographic display showed the current state of what they now called the Shadow Network, humanity's secret empire among the stars. We've confirmed contact with 4 additional species classified as prey by the Galactic Council, she reported. Each has accepted our offer of alliance without knowing Earth's coordinates. This had become standard protocol. Humanity would approach developing civilizations under threat of harvesting, offering defensive technology and training, but never revealing their origin point. Trust was built through results, not disclosure. The Shadow Coalition, as it was now known, included the 6-limbed Proximans, the crystalline Eridani, the methane-breathing Tausetians, and most recently, the photosynthetic Gliese Collective. Each had suffered under Vrenthai predation, and each had embraced humanity's offered path of silent resistance. We've begun sharing stealth technology with all allied species, Admiral Quan explained, his once black hair now white, but his posture still ramrod straight. The Proximans have proven especially adept at quantum whispering communications. The Eridani have refined our metamaterials to new levels of scan resistance. The strategy had evolved from merely hiding to actively teaching other prey species the art of invisibility. Earth had become the silent teacher, creating a network of seemingly unrelated civilizations, all practicing the same revolutionary approach to galactic survival. What about the anomalies the Vrenthai have been investigating? asked the African Union representative. Elena nodded to Commander Rodriguez, now Chief of Field Operations, who activated a secondary display. In the past 3 years, the Vrenthai and other dominant species have lost 27 outposts, 14 mining operations, and 7 military installations to what their records classify as natural disasters, Rodriguez reported, her voice neutral despite the implication. None of these disasters were, in fact, natural. Some were the work of human stealth teams. Others were conducted by their allies. All were executed with such precision that no evidence of intelligent interference remained, only the results. A Vrenthai antimatter refinery consumed by a spontaneous stellar flare. A Corva harvesting fleet lost in an unexpected radiation storm. A Celtor military outpost rendered uninhabitable by geological instability. The predators are becoming increasingly paranoid, Elena continued. Their resource chains are disrupted. Their harvesting schedules are delayed. Their military posture has shifted from offensive to defensive, and they have no idea who or what to blame. The Galactic Council had convened 3 emergency sessions in the past year alone, each focused on the growing resource crisis and increasing reports of militant resistance from supposedly primitive species. The concept of a ghost civilization had graduated from fringe theory to serious consideration. Phase 3 of the Whisper Protocol is complete, Elena declared. We've successfully altered the galactic power dynamic without revealing ourselves. The council chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the assembled leaders. Humanity had achieved something unprecedented. They had changed the rules of the cosmic game without announcing they were players. What comes next? Asked Director Yamamoto's successor, her voice barely audible. Elena's eyes gleamed with the cold calculation that had defined her leadership for almost 20 years. Now, she said quietly, we prepare for the moment when staying silent no longer serves our purpose. Throughout the shadowed stars, humanity's invisible network tightened around predators who were only just beginning to realize they were being hunted. The emergency session of the Galactic Council stretched into its 3rd day. Representatives of the 7 dominant species convened in the massive chamber aboard the Vrenthai capital ship Eternal Dominance, their voices rising in accusations and demands. Another supply chain collapse in the Rigel sector, growled the Corva representative, his mechanical limbs clattering against the polished floor. 3 mining colonies abandoned due to equipment failure. This is no coincidence. The Vrenthai High Commander, Zenith of Stars, rose to address the assembly. The Council declares a formal crisis. Resource shortages have reached critical levels across 17 sectors. Military readiness has fallen to 60% capacity due to fuel and materials deficits. Unknown to the assembled delegates, every word of their supposedly secure meeting transmitted directly to Whisper Command via quantum entanglement relays hidden throughout the chamber. Director Elena Chen, now in her 60s but still sharp as the day she first discovered the alien particles, watched with her senior staff as the galactic powers revealed the extent of their vulnerability. They're finally taking action, observed Admiral Kwan. On the screen, Zenith of Stars announced the Council's decision. A unified fleet will investigate these disruptions. 200 vessels, our most advanced technology. We will find this ghost civilization, if it exists, and we will remind the galaxy why we are the apex predators. Elena turned to her staff. And so they spring the trap themselves. The massive Vrenthai war fleet assembled at coordinates precisely where Whisper Command wanted them, near a supposedly defenseless colony of Tausicians who had only recently discovered radio technology. Intelligence gathered by the Shadow Network confirmed the Vrenthai plan. They would make an example of this emerging civilization, demonstrating the cost of resistance to the galactic order. What they couldn't know was that the Tausician settlement was entirely uninhabited, an elaborate facade created by human engineers and their allies. Every radio broadcast, every heat signature, every sign of life was simulated. Captain Kira Okafor, now Fleet Commander, transmitted the final authorization. Initiate Operation Eclipse. When the Vrenthai fleet arrived at the Tau Sishan colony, they found only empty space. Their sensors detected no planetary structures, no life signs, nothing but barren rock where intelligence had indicated a thriving settlement. Scanning malfunction, suggested the second-in-command. Zenith of Stars frowned. Deploy reconnaissance drones, full spectrum analysis. The drones launched, only to suddenly freeze in space as their propulsion systems simultaneously failed. Throughout the fleet, alarm reports flooded in as primary systems went offline. Weapons, engines, shields, all disabled by microscopic nanobots that had infiltrated their systems months earlier through supposedly routine supply chains. Then, silently and without warning, space itself seemed to shimmer around them. Where there had been empty vacuum seconds before, hundreds of vessels now appeared, surrounding the Vrenthai fleet in a perfect sphere of overlapping fields of fire. Ships unlike any design known to the galactic community, some resembling asteroids, others like crystalline structures, still others appearing as ripples in space-time itself. The voice that finally broke the silence across all Vrenthai communication channels was human, speaking perfect Vrenthai. This is Commander Kira Okafor of the Shadow Coalition. For decades, you have hunted those you considered prey. Today, you face the consequences of your predation. The message continued, heard by every being aboard every ship. You have two choices, equality or extinction. Choose carefully. For the first time in their long history, the Vrenthai experienced what so many other species had felt under their dominance, the cold realization of being utterly helplessly outmaneuvered. The hunter had become the hunted. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council had never before hosted representatives of prey species. Yet today, beings from 17 previously subjugated civilizations sat alongside the traditional powers, their presence forcing an expansion of the ancient chamber. News of the Vrenthai surrender had spread across subspace channels like a supernova's shockwave. The most powerful military force in the known galaxy had capitulated without firing a shot, confronted by an alliance no one had believed possible, an alliance led by a species most Galactic Council members had never even heard of. When Director Elena Chen entered the hall, the chamber fell silent. At 73, she moved with the careful precision of age, yet her eyes remained as sharp and calculating as when she had first discovered alien particles near Saturn decades ago. Behind her walked the representatives of Earth and the Shadow Coalition, humans, Proximans, Eridani, Tau Sishans, and a dozen other formerly harvested species. The Council recognizes the representative of Earth, announced the Celtor moderator, struggling with the unfamiliar word. Elena took her position at the central podium, surveying the assembled delegates, some hostile, some curious, all wary. For centuries, she began, her voice carrying easily through the vast hall. You have classified civilizations as predators or prey. You have built an order based on technological superiority and resource consumption. You have harvested worlds, enslaved species, and called it the natural order. She gestured to the holographic display now activating above the chamber. It showed recordings of dozens of harvesting operations, the systematic stripping of resources from developing worlds, the subjugation of native populations, the deliberate suppression of technological growth that might challenge the dominant powers. Humanity discovered your presence before you discovered ours, Elena continued. We observed, we learned, and we made a choice unlike any you considered, not to announce ourselves with displays of power, not to join your hierarchy of predation, but to become something else entirely. The display shifted to show the Shadow Network, the vast web of hidden outposts, stealth vessels, and allied worlds that had operated beyond Galactic Council awareness for decades. We chose to become the predator you never saw coming, Elena said, her voice hardening. We studied your blind spots, your weaknesses, your assumptions. While you looked for threats from those who announced themselves with displays of force, we moved silently through the darkness between stars. The chamber erupted in accusations and demands for explanation. Elena waited for the noise to subside before continuing. "Today we offer a new covenant," she declared. "The choice we presented to the Ferenthi fleet we now extend to all. Equality or extinction." The terms of this new covenant were revolutionary. Resources would be shared equitably among all spacefaring species. Developing worlds would be protected rather than harvested. Technology would be exchanged rather than hoarded, and a new galactic assembly would replace the Council, with representation from all sentient species regardless of technological development. "You have labeled us prey for our entire history," Elena concluded. "Yet here we stand, humanity and our allies, having outmaneuvered the galaxy's apex predators without firing a shot. Not through superior strength, but through superior patience. Not through dominance, but through adaptation." The silence that followed was profound. One by one, the former Council powers capitulated, recognizing the choice before them was no choice at all. The Shadow Coalition had systematically undermined their resource chains, infiltrated their military structures, and positioned itself to collapse the entire predatory system. The new galactic order was established not through conquest, but through an ultimatum backed by meticulous preparation. As delegates filed out of the chamber, many whispered the same question: how had they missed the rise of such power? The answer was simple. They had been looking for roars when they should have been listening for whispers. Humanity had become the galaxy's top predator without ever announcing itself as a threat, until the moment its jaws were already closed around the throat of the old order.